But I want to commend all of you for coming back. It is not an easy thing to go to bed at, and I know you finished at 2, so you must have gotten to bed maybe 3:30. But to be back here again, what does it tell me? It tells me, one, that you value what is being provided to you. 2, it tells me that you value yourself. Because the truth is that you don't have to be here. Yes? You don't have to be here, but your choices are determining what you do. And your choices will determine what you become. So I don't want to say give yourselves a round of applause, but because I'm sure you guys are tired, but please give yourselves a round of applause. And now I understand that, there are natural things we cannot avoid. My wife tells me that all the time. If your body needs to sleep, sleep. But that will not happen here. If your body needs to sleep while we're going through this, just tell your neighbor, give me a holy nudge. Don't use the sharp part, okay? I'm not giving you permission to release your tension on them. Maybe you've been wanting to do that, but just help them get back awake. We've been through, I think this would be our 7th or our 8th session since I started with you. And I have taught this lesson before, the 5 levels of leadership. But I started reading this book a few weeks back. I had an engagement to teach this to nationwide. And I thought to myself, I've learned so much more that I need to bring this back here again. I was talking with Pastor Tayo this morning, and this is a book I will recommend that you all get. It's called The 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell. I have read a lot of his books, and as far as I am concerned, this is his best so far, because it gives you a roadmap. And we've talked about this before, but we will go deeper into this. There's just so much more that I learned reading this, and I felt I would not be doing justice if I did not come back to share this with you. Understand that this book, being as thick as it is, I cannot share everything. So I'll give you enough to get you started, but you still have to go get it and read it. We've talked about a few times. We've talked about the importance of reading. How many of you have started buying books? How many of you have increased your library? Yes, no. Some are scratching their nose, their eyes. Buy books. How many of you want your children to read? If you're not putting your hands up, that's a big problem. We need to pray for you. How many of you want your children to be active readers? What's the best way to do it? Show them. Model it. That's the best way to do it. Model it for them. Because what you will be in 5 years and what they will be determined by the people you hang around with, your 5 closest friends, and the books you read. That has been proven time and time again. The people around you will either lift you up or pull you down. Your 5 closest friends, In fact, some people say that if you take the income of your 5 closest friends and take the average, what you earn is close to that average. Take that into the core values of your 5 closest friends. You will find that you will share similar values with them. So what you become 5 years from now, because it takes that much time for things to be internalized and for you to behave that way and replicate such behavior, 5 years will be determined by the 5 closest people to you and the books you read. So the more I read, the more passionate I am about telling people about the importance of reading. Read. Educate yourself. Good? Do you have a deal? Okay. All right. The last time I talked about this, and you all have this, you don't have this in your handout, but the last time I talked about this, I told you that there are 5 levels: position, permission, production, people development, and pinnacle. Do you all remember that lesson? Okay. What is position? Who remembers? What's position? Okay. I need you guys to stay with me and talk to me through this. What is position? It's the first level, it's the basic level. Position is simply a position, a title you've been given. And this is the lowest level of leadership. The operating word here is rights. I'll run through this because I want us to dive deeper into it. The operating word here is rights. People follow you because they have to follow you. If you're in the military, you know what it's do as I say, not do as I do. Yes, in the military. If you're at work, if you have a boss, if you work for someone, what they tell you to do, you pretty much will do. Correct? Or else you're out the door. But in leadership, beyond the position level, outside of the jurisdiction of your position, if people don't have to follow you and you are a position-based leader, you lead based on your rights, then you're still starting. Let me even say this. You are an ineffective leader if you depend only on your rights. Let me talk about home a bit. What's the famous thing when someone is big, a senator or someone is going through the airport? What do they do? Do you know me? Do you know who I am? You've heard that, right? Do you know who I am? Who are you? It's true. It's true. They are position-based leaders. Entitlement, rights. That is the lowest level of leadership. However, this is where it starts. For most people, this is where leadership starts, at the position level. Next level is permission. Operating word here is relationships. Relationships. People follow you because they want to. Because they like you, because there's something interesting about you, there's something they can learn from you. They like your values, they see that you appreciate them. At the permission level, you are working to connect with your people. And the last time we talked about this, we talked about the locomotive principle. This is where things start to happen. The operating word here is, instead of do as I say, it's, hey, here's my suggestion. People give you the permission to speak into their lives. Relationships are being built. Third level is production. Operating word here is results. Results. Leadership is about getting something done. Not just about relating with people. It's about getting something done. So yes, you have the position, you have the title, but if you're leading a team or working with people, you bring them together because you want to achieve something. That's where results come to play. You see, as leaders, we focus on 3 things: relationships, results, and resilience. Because in the effort to produce results, you will make mistakes. You will face challenges, but your resilience is what will determine the extent or the amount of your results. And it is what will determine if you get back up after a setback. How many of you know you have setbacks in life? How many of you do not pray for setbacks? There's a Chinese proverb that says, may your road be rough. That's a blessing. May your road be rough, because they believe if your road is rough, you will learn wisdom. So, I'm not saying you should now start praying, Lord, give me trials. Give me the wisdom to learn through my trials. In production, your mindset is let's climb this mountain together. Position says do as I say. Permission says here's my suggestion. Production says let's climb this together. Let's climb this mountain together. Let's achieve this result together. The fourth is people development. Operating word is reproduction. Reproduction. This now, people follow you because of what you have done for them and for the organization. What you've done for them and what you've done for the organization. This is where things start to happen. If we go back to results, most companies, most effective leaders today stop there. Because think about it, if you're in a company, if you're in an organization, even if in this church, if you do this well, if you use your position well, build strong relationships and work to achieve the results set out for your department, and the church grows to 2,000, have you done well? Yeah? Have you done well? In a company, if you're doing well and your profits are growing and you're earning market share, are you doing well? But it does not stop there. Because that's where most companies stop. That's where most people stop. But at this point, if something happens to the leaders, what happens to the company or to the church or the organization? It's tanking. And that is why a lot of people wonder, wow, this company or this church was doing so well. What happened? Because they stopped here. They stopped our results and they celebrated. We have arrived. But what sustains any organization, church, corporation, anything is this: reproduction. Because at the results level, you are leading followers. But at the reproduction level, your focus is reproducing leaders. That's the focus. That's the focus. And the fifth level is pinnacle. Pinnacle. And the operating word there is respect. Now, people follow you because of what you represent. People follow you not just because of what you've done, not just because of relationships you have. In fact, they don't need to know you personally to follow you. Your legacy speaks for itself. Case in point, in our organization, Pastor Adeboye has reached pinnacle level. People that don't know him personally respect him. When they hear his name, doors open. When they hear his name or if he says he wants an appointment with you, I still don't know anyone who will refuse that appointment. Past presidents, not even all of them. You see, this has so much to do with what you've done over the years. Billy Graham, Kenneth Hagin. Well, Kenneth Hagin is dead now. If you were to have an appointment with him, I would really be scared. Somebody like Billy Graham, think about it. Everyone who has run for president, Democrat or Republican, has made that trip to go see Billy Graham. Can you imagine that? You're running for president and you're going to this person, old man who's not even preaching anymore, for his blessing. Nelson Mandela. He's in the hospital, or he's been in hospital, and the whole world is wondering what's going on with him, what's going on with him, what's going on with him. Because they've reached that level. Because of the thing his life has stood for. Most people will not get to that level. Most people won't. Because it takes years of committed people development to get there. Number one, position is given to you. The key levels are 2, 3, and 4. We have control of our ability to climb those levels. The most you can do on your own, the most I can do on my own is get to 4. 5 we don't put ourselves there. The people we've served over time and the legacy we leave puts us there. So if somebody comes to you and tells you, oh, I'm a level 5 leader, they're not. They're not. They're not. Trust me. They're not. You can say that about someone else. I think it'd be foolish for us and prideful of us to say that about ourselves. I was teaching this, I think it was on Wednesday, and someone in the audience at the end, I was taking Q&A, and I said, which I'll do here, I can talk to you about position 1 to 4, because in different organizations, I have done that. But I can't talk about 5. I can't. I can't teach you how to get to 5. Go and read it for yourself. And do what needs to be done in 2, 3, and 4. And at the end, she asked me, she was like, well, in Toastmasters, you were the district governor for the state, and we know what you achieved, and a lot of people have respect for you. So why do you say you're not a pinnacle leader? I believe you're a pinnacle leader. And I said, trust me, I am not. Because in her mind, she was seeing the pinnacle position as the pinnacle of my influence in leadership. And I said, that is wrong. Do you understand? Do you understand what I'm... So, some of you may see Pastor Tayo as a pinnacle leader because of his position as the pastor. Being at the pinnacle, understand, has nothing to do with position. Absolutely nothing to do with position. You can get to the top of a company and be the chief executive officer for life and not achieve level 4. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's dive deeper into this. A few thoughts and insights on the 5 levels. 1, the higher you go, the longer it takes. The higher you go, the longer it takes. Position, you get a job or you're asked to lead a team. You're invited to the table. It takes time to build relationships because relationships help you build trust. As you're building relationships, it takes a longer time to use those relationships to achieve results. And it takes a much longer time to transform those relationships into mentoring relationships. Much longer time. Much longer time. So 1, the higher you go, the longer it takes. You don't arrive and say, hey, I want to skip position 1 and 2 and go straight to position 4. No, it doesn't happen that way. You climb the levels. However, the higher you go, number 2, the higher the level of commitment. Because it gets harder, you must be more committed. So your commitment to your people and your people's commitment to you gets higher. Take, for example, how many people were here last night for the vigil? How many? Okay, not how many of you. How many more people were here? Was this place fuller? Okay. Don't tell them I said this, okay? How many people are here now? So do you understand what I mean by commitment? And what that tells you is that as you go, the higher you go with commitment, not everyone will rise to the same level of commitment with you. Not everyone will. Not everyone will. So let this be an example for you. When you're asking everyone, let's go, let's charge this mountain, let's take this mountain. Maybe 5 will say, okay, I am right there with you. Out of a group of 20. Don't be upset. That's the way things happen. Okay, sometimes leaders get disillusioned when everyone is not running with them and being at the same pace with them. We'll talk about the 80-20 principle as we go through this, and you'll understand why. 3, the higher you go, the easier it is for you to lead. The higher you go, the easier it is for you to lead because you've done the work to go from position to permission to production to people development. you can always relate back because you've learned how to relate well with people. You've learned how to produce results. It is easier for you to influence. It is easier for you to lead. 4, the higher you go, the greater your success. That's quite obvious. The higher you go, the greater your success. 5, the higher you go, you never leave the levels below. You simply build on them. So because you're now producing results, you cannot forget the importance of relationships. Because it's the relationships you forge that help you produce the results you need. Yeah? The relationships you forge help you achieve the results you need. You never stop working on relationships. You never stop focusing on results when you get to level 4. Each one is a notch under your belt. Each one is a stepping stone. It's a building block. It's part of the foundation of leadership. So great leaders know how to relate well. They know how to produce results. And they know how to train people to develop other people. 6, as you move up the levels, I was just saying that now, you won't be at the same level with all the people in your company or your organization. You won't be at the same level with everyone on your team. Just accept that as a fact, and so that when it happens, you don't get bent out of shape. You don't get upset. That's just a fact of life. 7, you must work. You must work to carry other leaders up the levels with you. You must work to carry other leaders up the levels with you. This takes huge commitment. There's something called the law of the inner circle. If you've read the 21 Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell, your inner circle will determine how far you go in life. So in an organization, you have to focus on, okay, who will be my inner circle? Pastor Tai, as you're going up, who will be my inner circle? Leaders are discriminatory. Do you know that? Leaders are discriminatory. When I speak to audiences, I use that every now and then. I bring some terms that in America cause people to wake up and say, "Whoa, did he say that?" Is discrimination a bad word? Is it? Huh? It's a word. But when people hear discrimination, what's the first thing that comes to their mind? Yes, like, don't say that, don't say that. Don't say that. I was speaking at Rockwell Collins to some of their leadership team. And in preparing for that engagement, the HR manager said, don't use the word discrimination, please. Because I was talking about the importance of diversity and diversity of talent and why it is important to discriminate the talent you have on your team. She was like, that's a touchy subject. That's a touchy word. It's like, okay. But discrimination is not a bad word. What makes it bad is the word that comes before discrimination. Racial discrimination, economic discrimination, tribal discrimination. That's what makes it bad. Leaders discriminate because you cannot invest your time in everyone. Understand that if this sets you free, let this be liberation for you. You cannot invest your time with everyone equally. You can't. Don't try to. Do not try to. The best you can do is to find your inner circle and invest most of your time with your inner circle, developing them. As the church pastor, you obviously have to take care of your flock, but you cannot spend all your time on your flock. You can't. For you to be effective, and you all need to hear this. You all need to hear this. For Pastor Tai to be effective, he cannot be the one marrying everyone, burying everyone, going for every naming ceremony. He cannot be the one doing everything.
And you cannot be everyone's best friend. It's not possible. He does not have that capacity. For your church to go from results to reproduction, you all have to help him be free. And let's transfer that to you as well. As department heads, you cannot spend all your time with everyone on your team. And you can take this back to work. You have to be selective about the leaders on your team that you say, okay, I am going to pour my life into. Because your goal is to train people to do everything you do. Your goal as department heads is to train people to do everything you do. Work yourself out of your job. Because in doing that, you're creating stronger people who build a stronger leadership foundation for your church. Do you understand? That's how leadership works. That's how organizations grow. Give you a story. General Electric. How many of you have heard of the company General Electric, GE? When Jack Welch became the CEO and chairman in 1981, the company was valued at 14 billion. Now, you would say that's a significant amount, right? Yeah, 14 billion, that's a lot of money. When he retired in 2001, the value had gone from 14 to over 400 billion. Why? Because when he came, he focused on developing leaders. He broke bureaucracy and focused on developing leaders. He was like, we have to find the best of our best and invest in them. And every year he did something which people might say was bad. Every year the 10% at the bottom, and you have to understand that in this situation, the 10% that I'm talking about, it was not that they were bad performers. They were just in the 10%. They were fired every year. Every year. So you might be producing at a high level, but unfortunately, you're in the 10%. You're gone. What do you think that did for the company? Excellence. It raised productivity. It raised profitability. It immediately changed the culture. And people were so focused on pushing, trying to excel. And of course, he mentored 5 people. And out of those 5, one of them, Jeff Immelt, became the CEO. Who is the CEO today? The other 5, the other 4 left and took over other companies, and those companies started to flourish. There's power in being discriminatory as a leader. It's not bad. It's not bad. The higher you go, especially when you get to level 4, you cannot take everyone with you. Focus on carrying your inner circle up to number 4, up to level 4. But here's the thing you'll find out as you're going up the ladder, not everyone will respond the same. And you have to be selective. You have to be very selective about who you take up with you. Yes, sir. It is. It is. And we'll talk about that, the 80-20 principle. It is. It's true. To GE. It's true. Um, Home Depot was once the guy who, Nardelli, I think Nabisco, I'm trying to think of some other companies. Rockwell, I don't know if it's Rockwell Collins, Rockwell. Trying to think of where the others went. If you have GE on your resume, companies want you. Companies want you. I've worked with the one in Alpharetta, and it is a high production environment. They are very, very high on production. Are we good? Okay. So let's review the 3 key levels and then we'll dive into 1, 2, 3, and 4. And today we're going to spend time talking about the mind shift and the growth thoughts, or how you grow through each level. So we said that the 3 key levels are permission, production, and people development, because position is given to you. Pinnacle is given to you by the people you've served. You earn that. Position 2, permission, is defined by your ability to connect with people. Your ability to connect with people. And 2 connecting thoughts there. Connecting with people begins with caring for people. You can love people without leading them. But you can't lead people without loving them. If you can't love people, don't bother trying to be a leader. You will be a dictator and you will hurt people. Leaders love. Leaders love. True leadership is about love. True leadership is an outpouring of love. True leadership is an outpouring of love. Connecting starts by caring for your people. It begins with caring for people. But connecting with people continues by communicating with people. Because communication is the bridge on which trust and relationships are built. You never stop communicating with your team. You never stop communicating with your people. It starts with loving them. It starts with caring for them, but it continues by communicating with them constantly. The production level is defined by your ability to lead people and the organization. Because the focus here is results. The focus here is results. And if you're looking for someone who can produce well, look for someone who can make things happen. To find a good leader, look for someone who can make things happen. Don't put somebody in a position because you like them, because they're your friend. Put them there because they can produce. If you're on a team, and I like to use myself as an example. I've never been a sports person. My best sport that I've played well is pool. I shoot pool well. Soccer, basketball, forget it. In secondary school, when I was in secondary school, they formed a new house. We had 4 houses. And I think it was my final year, they formed 2 new houses. And my friend was made the house captain. Now, I was not athletic. And I guess he did not find anywhere he could put me. And he was like, okay, let's make him the sports captain of the house. Me. I was useless in that position. Honestly speaking. I was happy. Thinking back then, I was happy because I had a title. And I was not left out of the in-group. But thinking back now, I was useless. I was useless. Now, I don't blame him. We were young. We were kids. But the problem is when you become an adult and you're still making the same decisions based on, okay, this person is my friend. I should put this person in this position. Hey, let's look at African countries. What is happening? People make their relatives and their friends, give them positions of authority. When they get into power, what happens? Nothing. Nothing. They drain the system. If you want to produce, look for someone who can make things happen. And if you have people in position that are not making things happen, what do? Give them a friendly, a loving goodbye. It's okay. It is okay. Letting go of people is painful. Anybody who enjoys firing people or letting go of people, if you enjoy it, you need prayer. You need prayer. Seriously. If you enjoy firing people, you need prayer. But if you cannot do it, you should not be in leadership. You shouldn't be in leadership. 4, people development is defined by your ability to develop people. Don't develop them into followers, develop them into leaders. That is the true test of a leader. Not just your ability to produce results, but your ability to replicate yourself and develop other leaders. That is the call of leadership. More than any time in history, our time today requires leadership. The world today is crying for leaders. Companies, churches, countries, governments are crying for leadership. Schools are crying for leaders. As I speak, as I travel, that's the theme. People are crying for leadership. So much so that they're even now trying to start teaching it in schools. I am part of an advisory committee for the state. The state of Georgia is revamping their educational curriculum because they see that people are dropping out of high school or finishing high school and not going into college. And a lot of them are going into adding to the unemployment numbers. So what are they now looking to do? Revise the curriculum so that by the time you graduate from high school in Georgia, you have certain qualifications that can put you to work. So they're teaching people leadership skills, communication skills, business management, marketing, accounting in high school. So they are job ready, they're market ready if they say, hey, I don't want to go to college, or I don't want to go to college now. There's a strong cry for leadership. And the beautiful thing about learning leadership in church is that you can take the principles taught by the Bible and apply it at work. You know, Jesus said you should shine. Yes? If he puts you in a position, what are you shining? What light is shining? Is it that you know scripture? No. It's not that you know scripture. It is that you can produce, not just produce results, but you can produce people. You can produce people. The best way to preach the gospel at work is to produce. That's the best way to preach the gospel. Listen, forget tracts. Forget tracts. If you have not invested in that person, why should they take a tract from you? Why? I think a lot of people use tracts for them, how do I describe it? Okay, I can't do anything else. Let me just leave this tract and hope that by some miracle they will see the tract. For most people, the tract, even when I get tracts, it goes in the recycle. But if someone has a relationship, they will listen to you because they trust you. Do you understand? They trust you. And if in that relationship they see that you are a producer, that they can learn from you, they are so open to anything you have to tell them. So the best way to evangelize the people that work for you and the people that you report to is to be a producer. All right. Any questions so far? Can I have a bottle of water? Please. So let's dive into how we climb the ladder. I call this climbing the leadership ladder, not climbing the corporate ladder. Thank you very much. Because, and I relate this, as I talk, I relate this to the church and I relate this to work because most of you work, yes? Most of you work. And I want everything we talk about to be relevant to what you do at work. Because your development here is not just for you to serve well in church. It is for your life. It's for your life. Understand that? So We're not calling this climbing the, thank you, Pastor Tayo. We're not calling this climbing the corporate ladder. It's not climbing the church leadership ladder. A lot of people are wasting time, and I use that word strongly, wasting time trying to climb the corporate ladder. Do you know you can climb the corporate ladder and not climb the leadership ladder? You can work, produce results, and make sure that your results are known so that they can keep promoting you. But you are the person is an ineffective leader. But if you climb the leadership ladder, people will seek you out to promote you. I was talking, somebody was telling me this story. Somebody in HR was telling me this story. She's worked for Nationwide for close to 20 years. And there are people there who have never interviewed for a job. But they keep getting promoted. And she was like, why? They don't seek out promotions. They're not applying for anything, but people keep seeking them out for promotions because they've spent time climbing the leadership ladder. You see, those that want to grow an organization know those that have the potential to help them grow that organization. If you spend time developing yourself and climbing the leadership ladder, people will come look for you to take you up the corporate ladder. Different mindset. So climbing the ladder is really a mind shift. It's a mind shift. It's changing the way we think. So let's start from position 1. Position 1 means you've been invited to the table. You've been given a position. You've been asked to run a department. You've been invited. And that means somebody believes in you. That's the good side about the position level is that somebody believes in you. You've shown potential. So they're like, okay, let's give you an opportunity. You may have heard this term. Opportunity is like a rope. You can pull yourself up or you can hang yourself. Opportunity is like a rope. So you've been given the opportunity to do something with it. The mind shift you have to go through at level 1 is that, 1, titles don't make you. Titles don't make you. The title simply defines the responsibilities you have. But the title does not add 1 iota to your capacity, to your intellect, to your character, to your personality. The title does not make you. More than anything, you make the title. You can shrink a title or you can expand a title. It's all dependent on you. Titles don't make you. 2, people are a leader's most valuable asset. People are a leader's most valuable asset. Let's look at the gospel. The gospel is what saves. Christ saves. But why does he need the church? To spread the gospel. That tells you something. Even God knows that people are his most valuable asset to spread his message. If not, if he did not need the church, then as you're born, you get to a certain age, okay, your mind is opened to hear or to know about Christ. Can God not do that? He can. But he says, no, I want to do this through the church. I want to use people to get this done. People are a leader's most valuable asset. That is why you start to appreciate people. They are your most valuable asset. Anything you want to do, people will come first. When I talk to companies, I tell them, regardless of how good your product or your service is, If your people are not up to par, they will pull down the quality of your product or your service. People. 3, intentionally move towards your people. It is intentional. Don't expect them to move towards you. You take the first step. Intentionally move towards your people. And I put this here because, number 4, you don't need to have all the answers. Because most times at the position level, leaders who stay there are very, very insecure. A leader who stays at the position level is very insecure. They don't want people to know what they know. I'm sure you might work with people who hoard information. They're like, oh, I want to make myself indispensable, so I don't want to teach someone else everything I know, because if I do that, then they will replace me. That is the height of, I don't even know what to call that. Illusion, delusion. Whenever people tell me that, I'm like, okay, wow. That means you have on your calendar the day you will die. Because you can drop dead tomorrow. Do you understand? The person who is hoarding information so that they will protect their territory. What if you die tomorrow? What happens to that territory? And if you notice, people that are like that hardly get promoted. They think, oh, I am protecting my turf. But the people above you know that, yes, you are protecting your turf. And they know that if they promote you, 1, nobody will know how to do what you do. But 2, you will not add value to the company. Do you understand? So I tell people, work yourself out of a job. Give everything you know. Everything you know, teach the people around you. Because if you do that, what will your company do? They'll promote you. Because like, okay, you're no more useful there. There are other people that can do what you do. You've reproduced people. Well, let's move you to a higher level so that you reproduce more people at this higher level. It's a mind shift. It's a mind shift. You don't need to have all the answers. And if you have the answers, share it with everyone around you, as many people around you. To grow through level 1, dedicate yourself to leadership growth. Dedicate yourself to leadership growth. And I can tell with you having gone through this, having the vigil last night and being back here, this is dedication, this is commitment. But here's my encouragement. Don't let it stop here. Don't let it stop here. We talked about creating a leadership plan, a personal development plan. I've talked about that before. What books are you reading? What conferences do you plan to attend? How do you intend to develop yourself? Because you are your greatest asset. You are your greatest asset. Put a plan in place. If you don't want to spend money on books, how many of you have credit cards? How many of you have a credit card? Okay. How many of you have a library card? Okay. Your library card will get you further than your credit card. Your library card will get you further than your credit card. Go to the library. Those things are free. Borrow their audio CDs. When you're driving back and forth, listen to them. Listen to them. Expand your world. Dedicate yourself to leadership growth. Shift, number 2, shift from position to potential. Don't try to protect your position. Focus on maximizing your potential. That should be your focus. How much more can I grow? How much more can I grow? How much more can I expand? 3, shift from rules to relationship. I'm not saying break rules, but don't flog people with the rules. Focus on relationships. Shift to relationships. 4, find a leadership mentor. Find a leadership mentor. And I tell people, if you can't find a mentor, read books. You'll find the greatest mentors in the books you read. You will find the greatest mentors in the books you read. Find a leadership mentor. That's position. So let's get to permission, because this is where things start to happen. At the permission level, because now you've moved from position to permission, and you're building relationships. The workplace has become pleasant. Your team, people enjoy being on your team. It's fun. People like, if you call a leadership meeting or if you call a team meeting, people want to be there because they enjoy the relationships they have with each other. At level 2, here's the mind shift you need to make to get you to level 3. Practice the golden rule. Practice the golden rule. What does the golden rule say? Do unto others as you want others to do unto you. So if you want people to pour into you, if you want to grow, then help others grow. If you want to achieve results, help others achieve results. Zig Ziglar had a famous saying, you can have everything you want if you help others get everything they want. Do unto others as you want others to do unto you. In John Maxwell writing this book, he wanted to talk about the golden rule, but initially he thought it was a Christian principle. And his team researched and found that every faith has a version of the golden rule. Every faith. In fact, there's somewhere in one of them, it says a Nigerian Yoruba proverb. It's in this book. I think it says, he that will pinch a child with a stick should first pinch himself first, or poke himself to see how painful it is. Something to that extent. But they researched and found that the golden rule is universal. So it's not just a biblical principle, it is a life principle. It's a life principle. Do unto others as you want others to do unto you. Become the chief encourager of your team. Become the chief encourager of your team. Encouragement is oxygen to the soul. I don't know anyone who gets upset when they are encouraged. Do you know anyone who gets upset? Why are you encouraging me? Why are you telling me good job? Why are you telling me I can do better? We all want to be encouraged, don't we? In fact, sometimes we get down on ourselves when people don't encourage us, especially the people that we work with or our bosses. If they don't encourage us, sometimes it makes us feel unappreciated on the inside. Be the chief encourager of your team. Number 3, even though the focus is on building relationships, your mind has to be focused on the fact that relationships alone are not enough. Relationships are important, but relationships alone are not enough. They are important, but relationships alone are not enough. Because relationships are formed in a workplace, in a leadership environment. Relationships are formed to build results, to achieve results. 4, this is where it gets tricky and risky. Achieving the vision as a team is worth risking the relationships. So some will say, well, you said relationships are important. Yes. So you're now saying we should risk the relationship? Yes. Because the goal on a team, the goal, the vision is more important than any individual role. So if you have someone on your team who is not holding their own, like we said, it's okay to let them go. It's okay to help them transition to another position. Because what you're doing as a leader, if you let that person stay on, you are affecting the morale of the team. You start to affect the morale of the team. They wonder, well, why is this person getting a free pass, but you're pushing all of us to give our best? But this person who is not giving as much, you still let them stay on the team. If you set a standard, everyone has to rise to that standard. If they can't, it's okay. Because you have a goal to achieve. And I will say this, I've heard and I've seen this in churches, and I've heard pastors talk about this. They were not willing to make the hard decision. They were not willing to make the hard decision. The church I go to in Norcross, my pastor said when they started, they had 9 white families. And the vision God gave him was a multicultural church. And I think 2-3 months into the church, he cast the vision. And they were like, we don't know about that. 6 months later, about 7 of them left. And he was okay with it. In the growth of the church, we've had people join the church. White, Hispanic, African American, Asian, who could not handle the push to integrate cultures. He didn't stop. Never wavered. Even at the senior leadership level. At some point, the truth comes out. And at that point, you have to let the person go. Because there's a vision God has given you. There's a vision God has given you. There is no relationship. There is no relationship that is worth you risking the vision God has given you. None. 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 Because you are accountable to God. And this, I know this is hard for leaders. This is very hard for leaders. But it's something you have to do. Growing through level 2, you have to develop the right attitude towards people. You have to, and somebody will ask me, well, why do we even have to talk about that? Because, people we can all be crazy sometimes. We can all wonder. There are things we do and we ask ourselves, wow, did God actually create us? Or did someone else or something else create us? People are people. We're all a work in progress. Understand that. We are a work in progress. The church is first a hospital. How many of you know that? Yeah, it's a hospital. So when we came, we're all sick. We're all sick. We needed help. Sister Bertha says some more than others. Yes. Maybe some were us. Maybe, yeah. First a hospital, then a family, because as we help people become restored, we bring them into the family of Christ. But the ultimate goal is not being a family. The ultimate goal is being an army. Because a family does not go to war. It is an army that goes to war. So it's a hospital, family, but the ultimate goal is being an army. Develop the right attitude towards people so that you can help them grow. 2, express value for each person on your team. Express value. Appreciate the people on your team. Recognize them. Honor them. Love them. 3, make fun a goal. Make fun a goal. And if you are a type A personality, you'll be saying fun. What is that? Fun. People like having fun. People like having fun. I didn't say make fun your ultimate priority. No, make it a goal. A goal, not the goal. Make it a goal. Make fun a goal. 4, practice care and candor. Practice care and candor. We said it earlier, you cannot lead people without loving them. So care is what helps you lead people. Care establishes the relationship. But candor expands that relationship. Because when you can have the hard conversation with people, it expands, it deepens your relationship with them. We've talked about this here before, that conflict is the doorway to intimacy. Don't be afraid to have the hard conversations. Don't be afraid to have the hard conversations. Be candid with people about their production, about where they are falling short. If you set a goal or target for people and they are falling short, they're not meeting the expectations that you agreed on, have the conversation with them. It won't change till you have the conversation. It won't. Practice care and candor. C-A-N-D-O-R. Care and candor. And I assume we all know the meaning of candor, right? Okay. Production. At the production level, now you have credibility. It's not just that you're a nice person, but you get things done. Yes. Candor, being candid, being open, being straight, honest, straight up. Thank you. Pardon? Of being open, being sincere, sharing your heart. So if you need to have a hard conversation, if someone is getting on your nerve, let them know. But you say it in a nice way. At the production level, you have earned leadership credibility. People relate to you because they know you produce. You've done things for the organization and they're like, wow, this person has helped this organization. This person has done so much. I can learn from this person. So you have credibility. But you can't stop there because it is so easy, and I keep emphasizing this, it is so easy to stop there. You know what excites me about this book is that it gives a roadmap. And I tell people as you read this, figure out, okay, where are you weak and where are you strong? At what level are you? I had to be honest with myself. In organizations, yes, I have gone to level 4 in helping develop leaders. But personally, as an individual, if I were to just talk about myself, I'm still working hard to develop myself at level 3. I took a realistic look at myself. What do I do well? Put me anywhere, I'll form relationships easily. Easily. That's my personality. But results, production, that's where I am right now as a person, as a leader who has no position. That's where I am. And that's what I am working to develop. Expand that and now really master how to develop other leaders. So this will force you to ask yourself, where am I? What type of leader am I? Am I a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 leader? If you are honest with yourself, you can focus on how to grow and develop yourself. You see, this is not something you want to share with others. It's you. Where are you? Where are you on this ladder? The mind shift on level 3 is understand your personal giftedness. Understand how your personal giftedness contributes to the vision. What do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? Because here, yes, you are producing results, but what is the unique thing you bring to the table that helps you achieve the results you've been achieving? Because what we're talking about is how you go to level 4. Understand? How you go to level 4. So you need to find out that which is strong about you, because you can only develop people well in the area in which you are strong. Does that make sense? So you have to understand your personal giftedness and how it contributes to the vision. 2, prioritize the things that yield a high return. Now, this is where we start getting to the 80-20 principle. Prioritize the things that yield a high return. As leaders, we have many things to do. We have many things to do. Our calendars are full. But not all the things we have to do yield a high return. Not all of them have a high return. So let me stretch Pastor Tayo here. So somebody says, okay, I'm getting married. I want you to perform the wedding. But you know that on that same day, you want to take your team, your leadership team, your inner circle, for a conference. The wedding is not of high priority. It's a nice thing. Yes, correct? The person might be offended. Why? I've been here since. Why won't Pastor Tayo even conduct my wedding? Huh? It's true. It's true. And Pastor Tayo being diplomatic in telling them, yes, but you have to prioritize what yields a high return. You have to prioritize what yields a high return. And as you start to prioritize, you'll be amazed at the things you want to start delegating to other people. And you have to make the mind shift that even though production is great, number 3, production is not enough. Production is not enough. Because number 4, people development is the greatest fulfillment for a leader. A true leader has the most joy, gets the most satisfaction from developing other leaders. Seeing people that they mentor take positions of leadership and go on to do greater things. I know there's a Yoruba proverb that says it as well, but the Igbos have a saying that the father gives birth to a child for the child to be greater than the father. A leader's greatest joy is that their mentee becomes greater than them. That's the joy of a secure leader. You're secure in yourself. People development is the greatest fulfillment for a leader. Any questions? Can hear conversations? Yes.
And understand, let me rephrase that, because this has to do with leadership. You can produce results without being a leader. Do you understand? You can produce results without being a leader. The person who produces results without being a leader produces results on their own. But as a leader, remember, leadership is influence, and if you are leading and nobody is following, you're only taking a walk. Okay? If nobody is following you and you're producing results, you're not a leader. You are a follower. But you're a good follower. You know how to produce results. But at this level, it is producing results with and through people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I like us to relate level 3. Level 3 is where kind of people are working together. Right. I like us to relate that with visions.
With vision?
Yeah, corporate vision.
Okay.
Now, I was reading something about, there's this guy, Ashcroft. He has five steps of change, you know. What is change? You move from position to permission, it's a change. You know, going through a transition period. So, but at every point, for you to move from one to the other, you must have a vision that you kind of set aside. So I'm trying to see how can an effective leader, how can you incorporate your vision, your corporate vision, in your leadership at stage 3, at a point where you want to carry everybody along, at a point where you're also challenged by your own vision or godly vision.
So this is for the leader, this is for the person on the team. Which one are you talking about?
Well, this is for the leader. This is levels of leadership.
Okay.
Talking about a leader who is at stage 3.
Yes.
Say I am at stage 3.
Okay.
I'm leading people. And also at stage 3 is a stage where I have to carry everybody along, where I have visions. And I cannot carry everybody along without selling my visions to them. That is very important.
Okay.
Before you carry anybody along, you have to sell your visions.
That's true.
So how can I kind of
Get.
I mean, how can I relate the two? Because
Okay.
sometimes they may be opposing.
That's
Is it your vision or the corporate goal?
well, as the leader,
I'm the leader.
as the leader of the team.
Yeah.
Okay, I have an answer, Pastor.
I believe we have mentioned it in the process that you cannot, there are some people who will not go with you. And if they don't want to go with you, at that point, you just have to drop them to go forward. Now, this is where leaders have problems because they don't want to drop some people. But if you want to move forward with the goal and vision, some people will have to drop out.
That's
it's
true.
just important. There is nothing you can do about that.
That's true.
I'm not sure we are on
Let me at level 2.
I didn't understand it.
At level 2, if you do level 2 well and build strong relationships, you know the people that will produce for you at level 3. Not everyone from level 2 will go with you to level 3. Not everyone, understand that. You might still like them, you have a good relationship with them, but they are not capable, maybe based on their personality, maybe based on their capacity, they are not capable of going with you to level 3 to produce the results you need. It doesn't mean they're no longer your friends, they're just not on your leadership team.
Oh, okay, now that means what we are studying is leadership as a team, not leading people who are not on your team.
That's everything, it relates to everything, because if you are leading, then you're leading a team.
Yeah, so now you have followers, and most of your followers will not be like, when you say inner circle of leadership, they are less than 1% of people you are leading.
That's right.
So now, you have said before, which may be right, that most organizations are in level 3. To me, I would say most organizations are in level 2. Because big organizations may be in level 3, but in smaller scale, like small.
They're getting results.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That most people, they believe in relationships. Like, okay, for instance, I have a small company, right? Most people will relate with me based on my relationship with them. I try to strike this, compromises, this and that. At a point where I say, okay, let me carry everybody along. You know, there are some companies also, they have employee-owned organizations. You know, they do everything like it's owned by the people, everything, shares everything. So maybe at that point, they may be at level 3. So at that point, somebody at the leadership level may also have a vision. And the reason why they are working together is that they have a clear understanding of where they are going.
Of the vision.
Of the vision. So what I'm trying to understand is this. If I'm a leader at level 3, and I'm leading a team of 50 people, I have a vision at level 3. And how can I make sure that that level 3 is effective? I'm effective at that point where I have a vision that may be hard to sell sometimes.
So let
me help a little bit.
Okay.
You see, it comes back to the inner circle. Most of the time, vision is hard to sell. Any vision is hard to sell to the entire people. But if you can work with the inner circle first, if you cannot convince the inner circle, then you are in a big, big trouble.
That's true.
This is why you need, Jesus Christ will always go first to the 3, Peter, James, and John, and then expand it to the 12. before going to the 500 and to the multitude. It is always important for the inner circle, because if there is a division in the inner circle, they will kill the vision. They are the people we go out there and tell them, don't follow him. And they are the people we go out there and say, we are in for it. It's a very good vision. Please, let us do it whatever it takes. At that point, once you are able to sell it to the inner circle, you can go and relax, because the inner circle will do the job for you. But if the inner circle says they are not going along with you, it's a great problem. You have to kind of wait a little bit until when they are happy with you. So.
That is true. Does that help?
Well, that helps. We also
because understand that this question of vision as a leader. So let's even use your company, okay? With your company, when you started that company and it was just you had a vision.
Exactly.
Your vision has not changed.
It has not changed.
So you've brought people on to help you achieve the vision. You've built relationships with them. It's the same vision. To go to the next level, the vision has not changed. So it is you growing. Let's say you have 10 people on your team. You build a healthy relationship with them. They like working for you. They like what your company stands for. But to produce the results you need, not all of them might be capable. So you don't let everyone go, because you need assistants, you need people that do your day-to-day work. But the people who will help you expand your customer base, the people who might become your client relationship managers or your client acquisition managers, that might become your inner circle. Those are the ones you take to production with you. Those are the ones that you're saying, okay, maybe these are people I can mentor to do everything I do in this company. The vision doesn't change. Does that make sense?
It does. We're a little bit apart, but I think it does. My point is, maybe I'm not driving it home well, but you see, we're talking about me. If I see myself as being in level 2.
Okay.
Not in level 3 like you. So at that point, I base it on relationships, good relationships. And that is where many small organizations are. They deal with relationships. And now, because of that relationships, it is easier for them to relate with you based on your relationship, whatever vision you have. But when you go to stage 3, it is not based on you alone now. You have to have their interests, right? Because now we all either we rise together or we fall together. So now you have a vision that may be challenging. And again,
that's okay. That is very okay.
Yeah, but I'm trying to say, how can we set that vision? The idea of either you follow my vision or you are dropped, that's not a good management practice.
It is. It is. Let me tell you why it is. It is. It is. And you see, and what is coming out, and this is the challenge a lot of people have. The fact that you go to level 3, level 4 does not mean you stop building strong relationships. Yeah. However, the people that go with you up those levels are the ones that can ascend with you. You start to sell the vision at the relationship level. Do you understand? If you want your business to grow, you can't take everybody with you. Even though you can have a strong relationship with them, it's okay to drop them from your inner circle. Because your vision determines the people that come into your inner circle.
And how do we... I hope I'm not taking us back.
No, we are benefiting from
now
it.
in organizations,
yes.
Like I mentioned, I was reading the ASCROF. You have five steps, stage of change, organizational change. And one of the ways I learned of how to develop a vision is through feedback. Mm-hmm. When you run an organization, you get feedbacks. You do some diagnosis of what was, what is. Mm-hmm. That will form the future, right? So how do you get that? You have to do based on what is going on, based on the feedbacks that you are getting. So if you are carrying people along because of what is already existing, what has already existed, going to where needs to be easier. Kind of, but if God relate that vision to you, and this is my vision. God has said this is the vision and that I need to carry out. See, that vision, you have to sell it. I'm not talking about a church, I'm talking about an organization, any organization.
You have to sell the vision.
You have to sell it.
But not everyone will buy into the vision. They will, and let me rephrase this. They will not buy into the vision at the same level. That's not for you to worry about. If you sell the vision well, those that will help you get to level 4 will go with you. So you can't worry about, oh, if you have 3 people that want to go with you, and there's one person saying, man, I'm not going anywhere. Don't worry about that one person. Come back and say, oh, are you okay? Are you doing well? I'm still your friend, but I have work to do here. You're still part of the company, but you are not part of the inner circle, and there is nothing wrong with that.
Sorry, can I add something?
Yes.
We are assuming that members of our team are like members. If sometimes they're going to sack you before you sack them. So you got to focus on your goal. And getting feedback also is not just about, you can do independent feedback, you can do customer-based feedback, you can do staff-based feedback. So, but if you rely solely on people, and they know that you rely solely on them, sometimes they're going to hold you at, also hold you bound to not be able to think outside the box.
Pastor, I had something to say.
Yes, I also want to say, if you have a small vision, it's easy to sell. The greater the vision, the more trouble you have.
That's true.
Because as the vision becomes greater, you will see the character of people that are following you. Because if they don't want big things, they will quickly drop out. And then it's very difficult to sell when the vision is really great. If it's a small vision, most people buy into. If we say we are buying like 10 chairs now, it's easy.
Somebody will write a check.
Yes,
yes.
But if you say we are building a 40 million...
You want to write the check? So he hasn't finished.
Yeah, if you say we are building a $40 million facility, now you'll find out that if you are not careful, it's exactly what happened to Jesus Christ. When Jesus Christ was bringing them and feeding them, one day he said, you know what, let me tell you the big vision. We are not going to be eating in this assembly. I am the food that will be eaten. From that day, there was no church. It remains only 12. So we will eventually, every one of us will experience that at one point or the other. And Jesus Christ even has the 12. If you are not buying into this, you can also go. And they said we are not going anywhere. So he knew those are the people that he will work with.
So I will just, there is a basic assumption in the scenario it is given,
yes,
which is that everybody understands this vision, because from the beginning the vision is there, just like you said. It has not changed. However, when you look at this parable of the talents in another way, these 3 servants were living in the same household. They knew this master who distributed these talents to them. So the point I'm trying to make is, there is a limitation. There are certain factors that limit what the scenario you are painting, trying to carry everybody to produce these results. Because each individual, although they are in the same environment, they have been fed the same vision, you have been told the same thing, you have been doing, building this relationship with everybody. It is not possible because there are certain limitations based on these different factors. The servant that received the 1 talent, it's not because he couldn't work with it, he couldn't do anything with it, but to see that his mindset was different. Even though they were living in the same household, serving the same master for all these years, he said that, in other words, there are certain people in that company who don't want you to grow to that level you are looking at. They have been working with you. But they don't just want you to get, this man is too ambitious. Why does he want to get to that level? And they don't like it. They don't like it. And so that's what the servant, the one talent did. He doesn't want this man to have so much. And so he just buried it. He said, when he comes, I'll just give him the same thing he gave. So there are people like that in the organization who have those type of attitudes. And there is nothing you can do about it. And so it is, in fact, if you have an organization where everybody follows you to level 3 to produce results, that could be magic. I don't know how you can do it.
It will be.
No idea.
Okay. You had a comment.
Okay, yeah. What I want to say is that it's the same thing like Brother Ibu said. You see, sometimes in an organization, you have a vision. Everybody buys into that vision. Okay, they actually key into the vision. They believe in the vision. Now, taking them to the next level could be a little bit challenging because some of them don't have what it takes. You see, they don't have the propensity to function very well at that next level. So even when they are bought into your vision, but you know that they are limited, you see what I'm saying? They are limited somewhat. So you can't just take them to the next level. Yes, they are bought into your vision. They believe in what you're saying, but they don't have the ability or the capacity to function at the next level. So necessarily as a good leader, what you're going to do, you are going to drop them and move on because you have to, you have to run with the vision God has given you. And you are not going to jettison that vision. Because of any other variables. Right.
I think you made a very good example in your opening regarding the key company, that the leadership saw the vision. He set the vision to the one under him, and he built them up. He laid rules and regulations. This is what I'm going to do. This is what if you don't do this, I'm going to get rid of you. Of which people they are ready to sit up to do according to the instruction laid down. And I could relate it with what Brother Chooks is saying, because when the vision is being sold out, there are people that bought into that vision. And there are some that see that vision. There are some in there that want to collapse the vision. But based on the rules and regulations that have been laid down, they were able to team up together. And I think you said 10% were fired at the end of the year. It's not that they are not productive. They are productive, but they don't meet up the targets. And I can relate with what he's saying, that as a leader, the vision that you have, is it possible that people can buy into that vision?
Let me understand. If you look at these 5 levels, as you are going up, you also understand that the people that work with you also are limited by these 5 levels. So you might be at 3 and you're working with a 1 that is a nice person but also just focuses on their position, and they can't see more than 1. Your job as the leader is to help them see more. If they cannot see more, then at that point you have a choice. If they're not causing trouble and damage, you can leave them there. But if they are hindering the production or achievement of that vision, you have to let them go.
I think the greatest, what Brother Chucks just gave us is a very good scenario it's a study case, which is a very good thing, because it opened our mind to what can happen. The truth about it is, relationship and results, they are very dicey. You have built a very good relationship. Now it's time to break some of those relationships. It's very painful. And I will use a very good case study that we saw live. Church Chairs Incorporation is where almost everybody buys chairs. The man who started that church chairs started it about 60 years ago, handed it to his son. So they have built a community company in Cartersville. The unfortunate part is they were trying to carry everybody became old. They refused to let them go, even though they were no more becoming productive. So when you go there to buy chairs, you see people with walking sticks. You see what I mean? So eventually, things came down to where they have to close down the company. You don't have to wait for that. At one point, now, a manager came who could not tolerate all that. What the man couldn't do himself, somebody would have to come. When the bank took it over, they put a manager in there who doesn't care how long you have worked in the company or your relationship with the owner. They all go to the same church. So this is one of the problems that the company had. But somebody will have to come. Now, if you really want to get results at one point or the other, you just have to tell them, you know what, I love you. I really love you, but
I have to leave you.
You have to leave you.
If I remember, you had your hands up. Did you have a question or comment? I apologize.
I just wanted to know, is it possible for an organization, like not the church, but in your secular, to have leaders that are just stuck in position?
Yes.
Even in church, you can be a pastor and they can sit you down because you are not productive. It happens in churches too. They give you no responsibility. You have the title, but you don't have any responsibility. It can happen if you are not productive.
That's true. So my addiction is that now we look at this recycle, and we must understand that there's an injection and ejection. Now, for organizations, because they are also, they live, they breathe. As you're taking 10% out, you are revitalizing with 10%. Because if you don't inject new blood, if you don't inject new things, and that's where you need to look at it. There may be a rot. At one point, even if you have a big vision and you hold the status quo. Now, when people leave, people come in. Now it gives you room to be able to now look at my selection process. Am I going to bring people to help me even look at that? What do I want to achieve? Is there core competency with the people I have? And all of that. So don't look at it that there's always injection. There's also injection, ideas, technology, a lot of things that is a dynamic process. So even as you have injection, and for you to be able to allow proper integration, then people will sleep. Some are going to fire themselves even before you fire them.
And the question is, good point. Very, 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 very good point. The question is, it's not if people will leave, but who is leaving.
And when they are leaving.
And when they are leaving. Now, so let's say leadership is on a scale of 1 to 10. So if your 3s and 4s are leaving, and 7, 8s, and 9s are coming in, you're doing well. If your 7, 8s, and 9s are leaving and 3 and 4s are coming in, you're going down. In an environment where it's about position and relationships, you will have 3s, 4s, and 5s. 7, 8s, and 9s get restless and they will leave. If an environment where relationships are strong, but there's production and development, you will attract 8s and 9s. 3s and 4s will get frustrated because it's like, these guys are just so driven to achieve. Do you understand? They at some point they'll be like, this is too much for me, I can't take it. Last comment.
Thank you. This is a leadership class.
Yeah.
And you see, you have intelligently and very well presented the various levels. So each of us, we know where we belong. We are not talking about management practice, or what happens, or what we do at a certain point. We are looking at every point of that leadership point, what are the things that, that are supposed to be, we are supposed to do. So when we are those things are all gone.
Okay.
So, yeah, when we are at that point of that production, that point is a very critical point. You know, that point can either make or break an organization. So there is a very great responsibility on the leader at that point.
Yes.
For you to move from a relationship, hey, how you doing? I pick a phone call and, you know, check, how is your family? They will have that relationship. For you to pick on that and begin to operate on a different level, I think there has to be a much more responsibility. Talking about GE, I used to work at Co. All the guys at the point, they brought a lot of people from GE. They are paying them millions of dollars offers. They made a lot of changes, which is good. They also went through a lot of changes too. So talking about both internal, there are a lot of all those things, internal and external factors that can affect an organization, whether it's a church or outside the church, you know. But at that point where we are in production,
Yes.
when we are casting a vision as an organization, it is true that you cannot let everybody go. I mean, you can let everybody go, as a matter of fact, and bring a whole team, if possible.
But if you do, before you go on, if you do that, you have to go back to permission.
Yes.
Exactly. That's
Because you have to build the relationship.
that is the mindset I'm trying to make sure that we don't carry home with. That you don't come with me, then you are gone. You know, you have to sell it. You have to make a very good effort. And I was saying that why I said is, how can we sell visions to people with it? Now, I was trying to ask you.
Yeah.
That was where I was trying to drive. Because what I'm trying to drive, not looking at it from the follower's point of view, because a true leader, you don't look at it from how can I do? What can I do to impact the people I'm leading?
And
That
if
is
you,
why we move around.
if you remember when we started in the mind shift, I said as you go up the level, you don't leave the level behind you, you build on it. So if you're at production as a leader, you're still strong in relationships. Do you understand? You're still strong. So the fact that you go to production and you're producing as a leader with your team does not mean you ignore building relationships. However, if those relationships cannot come up with you to help you produce on the team, remember we said do not risk the vision of the team because of the relationships. We said that it's in your handout. You don't risk the vision of the team because of the relationships. So you are at production, you're producing as a team. You maintain the strong relationships, but if there are one or two relationships that maybe are dragging the team down or maybe cannot rise up to the level that you need them to, you have to make the choice. Do you let them go? If they're not causing trouble, do you leave them there? I'll come back to yes.
I've resisted saying this. In the organization where I'm affiliated with,
Yes.
we have a sample of this. That's why I asked the question I asked initially. Can there be somebody who is at level 3 and not necessarily have passed through level 2, but yet sees themselves, I'm at level 3? When you know, when people around you see you're really not at level, you have not passed through level 2, because now you pass through level 2 with the yes people and actually think that you have moved on to level 3, because there are some leaders who feel a challenge being not selling the vision or not getting people to go up with you on the vision, but on the yes level, where because I like you, because I'm just obedient to you, I need to go to there. And then you think that you are at that level when truly you are going there alone, because even the people you have, you're not building them.
So you asked the question and you answered the question. Because it doesn't matter how you see yourself. I can see myself as a pinnacle leader. I can say, okay, hey, I'm a pinnacle leader. Am I? No. So the person can say, well, they're producing and they're like, yes, I'm on level 3. If they don't have the characteristics and the qualities, they're not. They can say it all they want. They're not there. You can be a positioner, I'll get to you. You can be in a position, okay, you can be given a position let's say you're made a supervisor or a manager of a team, and you are producing, because the people on your team also want to keep their jobs. Okay, and there's the hard driving, hey, let's produce, let's produce, let's produce. And the team is producing. If outside of that environment, there's no regard for you as their leader, then you are still on position. Do you understand? You're still on position. So this, what we're talking about here, has nothing to do with title. It's the individual. We're talking about you. Take out the title, take out all those things. It's you. So you might be, your job, case in point, you might be the human resources officer. You know how to train. There's curriculum on training leaders. So you're training leaders in an organization and you are producing. So there's people development and there's production. But outside of the scope of your work, they don't care about you. You're still at level 1. You're a position leader. So this is not about title. It's about personal leadership.
And then again, there's the motivation of the people. Sometimes people produce, not necessarily because you have built a good relationship, but they want to keep their jobs. Because, jobs are hard to find.
That is true. That is true. However, I think the test of this is how people regard you outside of the position. So they work for you because they want to keep their job. But if you ask them to do something that is beyond their job, do they do it willingly?
Even in churches, people want to belong to the church because that's where I have been. I want to be obedient to God, not to be, the one that will be
in rebellion.
A rebellion, but they're not really being carried along. And because church is a voluntary thing, the leadership will think, I'm carrying people along. Everybody is saying yes. But in individual minds, people are standing alone. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
But they will stand alone for so long. Like Pastor Tayo said, the vision. So let's use the church for example. The vision will weed them out. If it's a small vision, if it's an average vision, if they're not being asked to stretch, yeah, they'll be there. But when it's time to stretch for a leader, let's say for a pastor who wants to stretch and grow the organization, at some point, they'll be like, okay, pastor, this one passed me. The truth will come out.
Can you take one more question?
Already 12. So that means you guys agree that we'll go till 12:30.
We're not releasing you.
Okay. Is that okay, Pastor? Okay.
Yeah, the question I wanted to ask is this. We also talked about some leadership, the kind of leadership. I want to ask you, we have talked about vision. And when you are leading a set of people who don't share in your vision, you can drop them. That's a good practice. Now, when you are building a team of leaders, do you just select people who share your visions, or you select people who are objective, who can tell you outer sides of the picture, of what could have been obtained? Or do you select people who will just say, yes, whatever your vision is yes?
The fact that someone shares your vision does not mean they are yes men. You have to separate the two. The fact that someone shares your vision does not, you see, the goal is, you can agree on the goal, but you can disagree on the strategy. So they share the goal, they share the vision, but they disagree on the strategy.
But some leaders will feel challenged by that.
That's an insecure leader.
Thank you.
That's an insecure leader. Now, so let's use politics. Let's use the president and his team. Would he, if Obama was insecure, would he have brought Clinton on?
No.
There's so many things they talk about, and she challenges him and says no. Same thing with Joe Biden. They were all mates. In fact, they were his seniors. They had more seniority than he did on the Senate.
Yes.
So they came to the table with seniority, knowing more in international affairs than he did.
A wise leader surrounds himself with
But he brought them to the table because he wanted challenging voices. This is the vision. Let's discuss it.
The strong leader wants dissenting voices on his team, because when you can all disagree and not take it personal, the best decision comes out. However, and Colin Powell said this, I want us to disagree when we are brainstorming. However, when the decision is made, we all rally around the decision. So when you all go into when the inner circle goes into that room and they put the title outside and there's no team leader, there's no pastor, there's no president, right here in this room, we are brainstorming to come up with the best decision. When the leader now says, okay, I've heard everyone's argument, the responsibility of that leader is to make a decision. And that inner circle has to let the person serve in their responsibility to make the final decision. The inner circle cannot make the final decision. They help the person make that final decision. When that person makes the final decision, the job of the inner circle is to go out and execute that final decision. In it, that's wrong. True. It's not. So, but that's where, and this is where it is so important that the inner circle you have is an inner circle you can trust. Do you understand? The inner circle you have is an inner circle you can trust. You trust that even if the leader makes a wrong decision, they make the wrong decision with the right heart. The question is, do you trust the leader's heart? First and foremost, can your team trust your heart? If they cannot trust your heart, there's a problem. And if they say, and here's the tension that happens. If they say no, but the leader believes strongly in what they're saying, in what he is saying or she is saying, does the inner circle say, okay, fine, we'll trust his heart or her heart and support him or her? And if we find out 10 months down the road that it was the wrong decision, will you all come back and say, okay, let's regroup? You see, that's the thing. That is where that trust comes in. And that's why I tell people, your inner circle is so critical. You don't just choose them like this. You don't choose them because they are producing. There are so many things that qualify people to be in your inner circle. Character, integrity, what's the trust? Trust is critical. Trust and character are critical. Yeah. They're not. They're not. No. Yeah. You can't. You cannot move to level 3 because you are a yes. It's hard. It's hard. And at the same time, the leader should not choose yes people. They won't go forward. And understand this. Understand this. And I'm going to, if I offend you, I apologize ahead of time. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. Yes. So you might see a situation and judge it and say, well, this person is a yes person. Because your filter is wrong. Because your filter is wrong. Yeah. Because there's a filter. So, and understand that your filter might be wrong. Your filter might be right. You don't know. But the key thing is, first and foremost with this, your personal responsibility to develop yourself as a leader. See, before you focus on the people, it's first about you. So let's step back and let's not focus on the team. Let's focus on, okay, where's my heart? Where am I? Where am I on this? Am I at position? Am I at permission? Am I at production? Am I at people development? Where am I? If I'm at position, if you really find out and say, with everything I do, I'm really a positional leader, then the question is, how do you move up? If you're at permission, then how do you move up? Because this, first and foremost, has nothing to do with an organization. It has to do with you. That's the big thing. It has to do with you. So till you get your heart right, until you get yourself in the process of growing through the steps, don't worry about where you find yourself in the organization. That's why I didn't say climbing. Remember I talked about not climbing the corporate ladder or the organizational ladder. It is climbing the leadership ladder. That's what we're focused on. That's what we're focused on. You always have conversation and you always have dissent. It does not change this. It doesn't. Comment. We have to finish this. But I like the lively. This is good. This is how we learn.